Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chairman of the South African Zionist Federation, Mr. Ben Swartz, to say a few words.
Bereaved families, His Excellency Ambassador Leo Kainan, Chief Rabbi Goldstein, Rabbonim, and friends. Every day we are reminded of the reality of the world we live in. In the past few months, we have seen the horrific attacks on Jewish synagogues in America. We have heard of many attacks that have been prevented around the world against our people. We have seen the naked, evil face of Jewish hatred bearing down on our people throughout Europe and America. In Israel, within the last week, we have seen hundreds upon hundreds of deadly missiles indiscriminately rain down on the population of Israel, and tragically 4 souls were lost. Here in South Africa, as much as some would like to believe it, we are not immune to this hatred. I would actually like to share this even an insight that I have not shared before. One of the flagship projects of the South African Zionist Federation is a movement called the South African Friends of Israel, an organization that has reached out to millions upon millions of South Africans over the last decade. One of the key components of this initiative lies within the Facebook page that we run and has a following well in excess of 110,000 friends. It's without a doubt the largest pro-Israel following that you'll find on Facebook on the continent of Africa. It's also, from what I understand, more than 5 times larger than any other anti-Israel platform that exists out there. But with this great support comes a very ominous presence, and that on this platform you see the haters flock to it. Many of them South African, many hundreds of them, where they spew their hatred against us and against our friends. We have all heard of the proliferation of anti-Semitism online, but I can personally vouch for the depth of it from what I've seen on the online space in the work that we have done. Often having to turn away from it to not actually having to face it head on because of the volume and the depth of it. It's sadly not unique to us here, but it is pervasive throughout the world. And let me tell you from my experiences, it's not focused on Israel and Israelis. The brunt of the messaging is focused on Jewish hatred. It would be very comforting if we could just say, well, it's based on what some call the occupation of 1967. You know, some go a little bit further and they say, well, it's all based on the conquest of 1948. But all we have to do for a moment is stop and cast our eyes a little bit further back. And we realize that the reasons for the Holocaust, preceded by the pogroms, preceded by the Inquisition, preceded by the Roman wars or the War of Haman, each one of them had their own logic and their own reason, often quite different. But each one focused on the singular purpose of wreaking havoc upon the Jewish nation. The lessons of our history have been deeply painful and are etched into the very fabric of our being. But please don't get me wrong. This message is not one of fear-mongering. Nothing can be achieved from that. This message is a reminder of who we are and what we have faced as a people over the millennia. It is a reminder of the common destiny that we all face together. And through that, as we can see, we have and we will continue to prevail. Throughout, we have never ceased in our beliefs, in our prayers, our hopes, and our aspirations to take control of our destinies. And once again, in 1948, these prayers, these hopes, these aspirations, as if by some miracle, and after 2,000 years, we were sovereign and in control of our destinies yet again. Today, Israel is a superpower in its own right, against all odds. Although others might say, predictably, the land of milk and honey honey, the land of milk and honey, indeed is flowing with milk and honey. Yet with this great privilege comes great responsibility. As Jews, we all hope and aspire to a time when humanity will lay down its weapons. We all dream of that, I'm sure. But we know until that moment arrives, the responsibility to protect ourselves against the hatred in the world for who we are and what we represent will never cease. And it is only through defending our biblical, historical, and national homeland that those that seek to destroy us, this is the only way, by protecting that homeland, can they be kept at bay. Tonight, we honor those that have placed themselves in front of us. We honor those that have paid the ultimate price to defend us and keep us safe. Yes, whether we live in Israel or in America or in South Africa, it is this evening that we stop, we internalize, and we reflect on the immense sacrifices that have been made for each one of us here tonight. The soldier in the infantry brigade or the engineering corps, the young South African Olim that placed themselves in tanks on the Suez Canal, or those that marched up the Golan Heights, the paratroopers inside Lebanon, the faceless soldiers that we don't know of, or those few that never returned, the men, the women, and the children. Each blessed soul lost so that we may be. Tonight we honor them, we remember them, and we express our deepest and sincerest gratitude.